I mean, obviously, I'm well familiar with what happened to Minneapolis, Minnesota in the aftermath of the George Floyd controversy. It burned to the ground, and Governor Tim Walz allowed it to happen. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris's newly selected running mate was obviously chosen as a nod to the far left wing of the party. The mainstream media is desperate to clean that up, but they have no ability to clean up his record. His record is well established. His record on immigration, as you mentioned, is a prime example of how truly socialist he is, how, quote, progressive he has been on the issue of immigration. Now, I'll just run down some of this for you. I have it right here. Since becoming governor in 2019, he has signed off on legislation to give any number of privileges to illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, including access to state-funded health care, free health care, access to college tuition, free college tuition. He also approved legislation in 2023, this was last year as a matter of fact, Jackie, to give driver's licenses to illegal aliens. Walz said at the time, ensuring licenses, drivers that is, in our state are licensed and carry insurance makes the roads safer for all Minnesotans. What can you do with a driver's license, you ask? I think you know. Walz spent a decade serving in the House of Representatives, voted for stricter screening of refugees during his time in Congress. However, the lawmaker's position on the issue of immigration as governor has continuously veered further and further to the left. While running for re-election in 2022, he criticized his opponent, Republican Scott Jensen, for saying that allowing immigrants without sufficient resources into the state would, quote, threaten Minnesota's fabric of life. Walz responded by saying he's 100% wrong morally, he's 100% wrong economically, he's 100% wrong culturally. During his gubernatorial campaign in 2018, Walz called for Minnesota to become not a collection of sanctuary cities, but a sanctuary state. My position on Minnesota becoming a sanctuary state boils down to who has the responsibility for enforcing immigration laws. Here's what I believe, he said. Congress has given federal authorities, or agencies, I should say, the authority to enforce immigration law in Minnesota, and in doing so, I support their doing so. Congress has not given local law enforcement that same authority. In 2021, Walz sent a letter to Congress endorsing a path to citizenship for illegal aliens, including individuals who came into the country as children, essential workers, people whose native countries are in crisis, and families of those immigrants. Walz opposed Donald Trump's border wall, calling it, quote, ridiculous. Let me see how high this is. If it's 25 feet, I'll invest in a 30-foot ladder company, he said. That's how you stop it. We played that clip yesterday. That's one issue. This man is an open border candidate. Now, I don't care what you think about anything else. Is the system that's currently going on right now working? I beg of you, Democrats, to think with the brain that God gave you. I beg of you, liberals, to think with the brain that God gave you. Do you believe the current system is working? Is it sustainable? You have a flood of millions of individuals coming in from other parts of the world. Are you watching what's going on in the United Kingdom? Are you watching what's going on in Germany? Are you watching what's going on in the Scandinavian countries? Are you watching what is going on in Europe? Are you watching? When you allow immigration to come into your country, whatever that country might be, and you do not set expectations among those that are coming in, when you don't set up parameters and rules to live by, when you don't set up hoops for those individuals to jump through, when you make it so damn easy. You know, my grandfather told me this. When I was a boy, we did not come from money. My grandfather was a self-employed mechanic. He left his job at Knox Rivers Construction Company in Thompson, Georgia. When I was just a wee lad, my mother had developed malignant brain tumor, and he recognized that he was about to have to take care of 3 grandchildren as his own. he was going to have to pay for us on his own. My father left. Mother, serious medical condition. Perhaps wouldn't survive the surgery itself. My grandfather left the company that he had worked for many, many years, Knox Rivers, because he recognized and went in and told Mr. Rivers, his boss. He was head of the mechanical division. He was the head mechanic. And he said, I don't think you can pay me as much as I need to earn to take care of these 3 grandchildren. And they negotiated, and eventually my grandfather left and went out on his own. He was a self-employed mechanic all of his life. When I was 11 years old, I wanted Levi blue jeans. I didn't want to wear Husky blue jeans from Kmart anymore, and so I started going to work, earning $20 a week. Actually, we started at $10 a week, and then eventually we moved to $20 a week with my grandfather. When I was 14 years of age, my grandfather asked me if I was thinking about a car. I was already driving my mother's car at the time because my mother had such difficulty driving. She wrecked a lot. My grandfather figured it was a best course of action to teach me to drive early so as to save my life. It worked. Long story short, I raised the money to buy a $400 car. It was a 1980 Chevrolet Monza. If you're not familiar with the Chevrolet Monza, it was basically Chevrolet's version of the Pinto. It was a hatchback. It was an absolute piece of crap, and I loved it. My grandfather told me that if I raised the $400 to buy the car, that he would pay for all of the parts and that he would show me how to rebuild the engine and rebuild the transmission, because both of them needed it. And we did. When I expressed frustration, and I did when I was 15, 16 years old, 16, 17 years old, I'm driving my Monza. And don't get me wrong, I appreciated that car. I had great respect for that car. But when you pull into the car parking lot at the high school, Thompson High School, and everyone else is driving a Mustang, or, some of these rich kids are driving mama and daddy's Volvo. And I said something at one point, and my grandfather said, they're not going to appreciate it. And it might frustrate you right now, but down the road, it's going to help you. And it's going to hurt them. He didn't say it in that many ways, or in that clear of a way. But he said they're not going to have any appreciation for what they have, and you are going to have appreciation for what you have. Allowing illegal aliens to come into this country in the way that we do, allowing illegal aliens to flood the zone in Europe in the way that they do, does not teach them appreciation for the countries they are leaving and the countries that they are entering. And it creates a dynamic by which it becomes not a flood of hope, but an invasion. And that's what we're dealing with right now. Does anyone actually believe that we can continue this? On that issue alone, it is a disqualifier. On that issue alone. Tell me how this works. And don't tell me that the Democrats had a solution for it. It is garbage. It is a lie, and you're not going to get it by me. They did not. Kamala Harris was spewing out that nonsense. We tried, Joe. We tried to have a solution, and the Republicans stopped. You're actually going to think that we're stupid enough that you would suggest that you're stronger on immigration than Trump? You know what angers me? I get angry when they treat us like we're so dumb. I'm going to calm down, take a sip of Mountain Dew, be back in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.